Traits an avoidant is most attracted to when dating. Have you ever wondered what kind of person truly attracts an avoidant? Not the kind they casually date, but the kind that quietly captures their curiosity, the one they can't easily forget. Most people assume avoidants are drawn to cold, distant partners like themselves, but that's far from the truth. The psychology behind their attraction is paradoxical. Avoidants, especially the dismissive kind, are drawn to people who radiate warmth, emotional intelligence, and independence all at once. They crave safety but fear intimacy. So when someone walks into their life carrying both comfort and control, the avoidant feels a pull they can't quite explain. Let's dive into the traits that an avoidant finds most magnetic, the ones that draw them in even when they try to resist. The first trait that captivates an avoidant is emotional calmness. Avoidants tend to live with a quiet internal chaos. They've built walls not because they hate love, but because love once felt overwhelming or unsafe. When they meet someone who doesn't react impulsively, who doesn't chase or pressure them, it soothes their nervous system. They sense, even subconsciously, that they're safe around calm energy. An emotionally balanced person doesn't demand immediate vulnerability. They don't explode when the avoidant takes space. And that's intoxicating for someone who spent their whole life avoiding emotional storms. Your calm doesn't just attract them, it disarms them. It tells them, you can exist here without being swallowed. The second trait is independence. Avoidants respect and desire people who have their own lives. They're deeply drawn to partners who don't need them to feel whole. When you have your own interests, your own passions, and a sense of self that doesn't bend around them, it challenges their old beliefs. It shows them that connection doesn't have to mean losing control. Independence makes you intriguing to an avoidant because they can engage with you without feeling trapped. To them, a partner who says, I love you, but I also love my space, feels like fresh air. It gives them permission to love without fear, because you won't chase them when they pull away, and you won't crumble when they distance themselves. The third trait that quietly draws avoidance in is emotional intelligence. Most avoidants grew up in environments where emotions were either dismissed or unsafe to express. So when they meet someone who can name what they feel, communicate boundaries, and stay composed during conflict, it's both foreign and fascinating. Emotional intelligence creates a kind of grounded energy that feels trustworthy. An avoidant might test you with silence, mixed signals, or withdrawal, but if you respond with awareness instead of panic, they notice. You're teaching them something new. That emotional connection doesn't have to be chaotic. To them, that's irresistible, even if they never say it out loud. The fourth trait is mystery, but not the manipulative kind. Avoidants are drawn to people who hold a little bit of themselves back, not because they're playing games, but because they genuinely value privacy and self-respect. An avoidant has a fear of engulfment, of being consumed by someone else's emotional world. So when they meet a person who's warm yet not fully open, it feels safe. Mystery keeps the dynamic slow and steady, which aligns with the avoidant's pace of intimacy. You don't need to reveal everything too soon. Let them discover you gradually. To an avoidant, depth that unfolds over time is far more attractive than emotional intensity that burns too fast. The fifth trait that attracts avoidance is self-confidence without arrogance. Avoidants often feel conflicted about closeness because deep down, they struggle with self-worth. They might act self-assured, but underneath the surface, they carry fears of rejection and inadequacy. A confident partner who stands firm in their value helps stabilize that imbalance. When you're self-assured, when you don't seek their approval or overanalyze their silence, you project emotional safety. You communicate without words. I can love you without losing myself. That's a language an avoidant understands. They may not mirror your confidence right away, but it slowly awakens something in them. Curiosity, admiration, even longing. The sixth trait is consistency. To an avoidant, unpredictability equals danger. It reminds them of instability, of emotional chaos from their past. So when you show up in a steady, predictable way, not smothering, but reliable, it unsettles their expectations in a good way. They're used to relationships where someone either over-pursued or disappeared, but consistency teaches them that not everyone leaves when things get real. That's when the avoidance starts to soften. They may still retreat from time to time, but they'll come back faster because your stability gives them a safe home base. The seventh trait avoidants find compelling is boundaries. It might sound ironic, but avoidants are magnetically drawn to people who have clear limits. Why? Because boundaries make them feel safe. When you have boundaries, you're not invasive. You don't demand emotional availability beyond what they can offer. You respect their space, and that respect earns their trust. It's not about tolerating their distance. It's about honoring your own standards while allowing them to come closer at their own pace. When you can say no with kindness or express needs without guilt, you show them that love doesn't mean control. To an avoidant, that's incredibly attractive because it's something they secretly crave but rarely experience. The eighth trait that pulls avoidance in is authenticity. Avoidance can sense pretense from miles away. They're sensitive to manipulation or emotional performance because they've spent years protecting themselves from it. When you're authentic, when you say what you mean and show up as you are, it creates a subtle sense of trust. You're not trying to win them over or fix them. You're just being real. That kind of presence is rare and grounding. Avoidance may not verbally express appreciation, but your honesty allows them to drop their own mask, little by little. The ninth trait, and perhaps the most powerful one, is emotional self-sufficiency. Avoidants admire people who don't rely on relationships for validation. They're drawn to those who have learned how to self-soothe, who can handle their emotions without projecting them onto others. This kind of strength doesn't threaten them. It comforts them. It tells the avoidant, you can have space and I'll still be okay. And ironically, the moment they realize you don't need them is when they start wanting you more deeply. Because for avoidance, attraction grows where pressure disappears. And finally, the 10th trait that deeply attracts avoidance is empathy without overgiving. Avoidants often misinterpret empathy as intrusion because they've experienced people trying to fix or rescue them. But when your empathy is balanced, when you understand their silence without taking it personally, when you care without chasing, they feel seen in a way they rarely do. It shows them that love can exist without expectation. That's the sweet spot where their walls start to crack. In truth, avoidants aren't heartless. They're scared. Scared of losing freedom, scared of needing someone too much, scared of repeating pain they never processed. But when they meet someone who embodies peace, independence, emotional depth, and authenticity, it challenges everything they've believed about love. It's not that they fall fast, they fall slow, but real. You become the person who doesn't just enter their life. You reshape their idea of what connection can be. So if you've ever been drawn to an avoidant, remember this. It's not about chasing them or trying to prove your worth. It's about being grounded in who you are. Be calm, consistent, confident, and kind. But keep your boundaries. Let your energy say, I'm here, but I'm whole with or without you. Because that's what truly attracts an avoidant. Not games, not distance, but the rare combination of warmth and strength, love that feels safe yet never suffocates. And when you embody that, even the most avoidant heart begins to lean in, quietly, cautiously, but genuinely, toward you.